Every 2 years, like clockwork, KMFDM releases an album, and in 2011 they released What the Fuck. And as reliable as their recording schedule is the quality of their music. Crank, the first single, is the first KMFDM song to have a video in an awfully long time, and it's pretty good, although it sounds an awful lot like Megalomaniac. Not that Megalomaniac is a bad song, but it already exists. Come On, Go Off is a lot more interesting. It has this great, almost gabber sounding TR-909 beat behind it. It stands out a bit because of that, and I like it when KMFDM can step away from their formula every now and then. KMFDM is kind of notorious for essentially making the same album over and over again. You used to hear a lot more variation in their sound back in the days when they had a more revolving lineup with people like N.Esh and Ray Watts and Ogre and Martin Atkins, etc. But for the last 10 years ago, they've had a pretty steady lineup of Sasha, Steve, Andy, Jules, and Lucia. But I guess as Sasha once said, if it works this good, why fuck with it? And this album is certainly no exception to that, but my favorite tracks are the ones that get a little bit more adventurous. Lynch Mob, for instance, is a pretty good song because Sasha actually sings on it instead of just barking lyrics into the microphone. Take It Like a Man is another great song. It's one of the ones that Lucia is singing on, and I like it because it's more sort of mainstream clubby sounding. Not that I really like the clubby kind of music per se, but it sounds interesting coming from KMFDM. I also like Panzerfaust because it's the heaviest song on the album. I've seen KMFDM live a couple of times, and the great thing about this band is that even though they're pretty big in the industrial music scene, they still don't have a lot of mainstream popularity, so you can still see them in fairly small venues. And you can actually talk to them. At the first KMFDM show I went to, the security was kind of lax, and I inadvertently walked in on a sound check, and one of the roadies saw me walk in, and he was like, "Hey man, how's it going?" And I was like, is this a sound check? And he was like, "Yeah man." So then I sort of awkwardly walked out and waited for when the doors were supposed to open. My friends still make fun of me for the fact that as I was driving by the place, I mistook them for aging punks. As I got a little closer, I was like, wait a minute. Those aging punks are KMFDM. And I had brought a copy of the demo tape that I had recorded to give to them, and I parked my car and I ran down the street after them. When I handed them my demo, they were like, "Yeah, sure, we'll listen to it." But they were all very nice guys. I chatted with Jules Hodgson for like half an hour before the show. He told me about his various sexual conquests as he toured across Canada. Those were good times. Oh, and this album's pretty good too.